All right. So what you need to come over with is a bucket with some water in it. This is a turning tool. So you want one of these turning tool. You'll want a wooden rib tool here, like that. These are the wire cutters. So you want some of those. Make sure it's not a frayed kind. I try to throw away those wire cutters that are frayed back there, but I don't always catch them. A needle tool is good to have, and a sponge. There's a couple different types of sponges back there. This kind or this kind, it really doesn't matter. That could be personal preference. Okay, so I'm going to put those there. All right, so when you come over here with your clay, it is super important to make sure that it's wedged. That's always the case, but certainly when you're ready to start throwing on the wheel, any little air pockets or anything in here could mess you up unnecessarily and be fighting with it forever. So you don't wet down the wheel to start. You just throw this right onto a bat that's clean for the most part and dry. I mean, is anything in here clean really? But you throw that down. You don't have to be like super aggressive about it, but just make sure it gets down and sticks. I kind of threw it a little off center from what I would like, so I'm just going to hit it like there. Don't pick it up and throw it back down again, because you're just going to run the risk of breaking that kind of stickiness there. The buttons to go are over here. That's a learning curve too, and everyone's a little different. So you figure it out when you get there on that. What I want to show you though is centering. So, and I also want to give you guys some good bit of advice that this is like anything else, like learning how to ride your bike without training wheels, or learning how to do a layup, or learning how to dribble a ball. It takes practice, and it's not something you're either born with or without. But since you're in this class, we're all to assume that you're interested in figuring this out. And so that's going to mean you guys just need to practice. Okay. So just get back here often and practice. So centering is the first step for that. You're going to start with thumb over thumb like this, and your hands need to be tucked in and running along the bat like so. You don't want them to be smashed out like that, because that gets the clay all over the place. You want a little bit of water. You don't have to have a ton, just enough that your hands slide over the clay okay. And check out the position too. You'll want to move your stool around or your pedal around. It's just like getting in to drive a car or something. You got to adjust your seat. Okay, so you got to get to a spot where your elbows can be comfortably on your legs, and that you can be leaning over kind of the center of this clay. That's going to be helpful. Also, particularly my left hand, I like to sit with that elbow inside of my thigh, because that provides a brace for this. And this is a very important hand when centering, is your left hand, and this spot right here in particular, because the clay is coming into contact with that every rotation. You can push that around quite easily if you've got control over this part. And you should, because there's a big bone that runs through there. This has nothing to do, not a ton to do with muscle. More about muscle control and placement. Okay, so I've got my hands down. My left hand is still doing the job that I showed you. My right hand is using the fingers and the thumb over top to help keep everything flat, and also to squeeze back and towards my left hand. So this arm is really not moving either. So I'm pushing this down here. You don't have to have your hands moving like that. You're in control of that, or should be. The clay was starting to get a little sticky, so I get more water to drizzle. And the next step is to open up like this. When you do this, what you're going to be doing is bringing this up into a cone, using this and this. Now, it'll look like I'm bringing it up, but I'm not physically moving my arms up and picking that up. I'm pushing it together. It has to go up, and I just follow it. So I'm really pushing down here and following that up. This clay, what this is doing is getting that uncentered part up here where I have more control. And also, look here, I wedged this too fast. There's a little air bubble right there. It can and will bring air bubbles out into the surface too. Now, once I've got that up in that cone, see that? I'm going to put my thumbs back together again and head to that first position there. You guys, if you spend much time looking videos up on YouTube of people throwing, there's all sorts of different ways to center clay. This is the way I learn. This is the way I teach it. This is the way I do it. So that's just that. But like anything, there's lots of different techniques. So you're going to come to the wheel, especially the first few times that you throw, and probably should expect, I'm just going to practice centering today. You shouldn't sit down and expect to throw anything that's keepable. If you just in one class period just get done doing this and getting the hang of that, it's been a good day for you. Okay. So I make that look really easy, and I'm not saying that because I'm like, I think I'm all that or whatever, right? If you've had me before, most of you have, I've been doing this for a long time. I know y'all think I'm like 22, but I'm a little older. I've been throwing since 93, 94. Okay, so there's that. It's been centered. You'll know when it's centered because it won't wobble anymore. That's centered. That's uncentered. You can see that big wobble. The best way to figure out if it's centered or not is to watch it spin. Okay, so now I'm going to open this up. And I'm going to, whoa,